Welcome to Fresh Off the Boat. I'm delighted to be chatting with Mehul Thakral. He's a student I'd worked with in 2015-16 before you left for college, NYU in New York City. Uh, Tell me a bit about goals you had set for yourself for college, and then how did it pan out in the early days and later on?
I think for me, like just coming into college, in high school, I wasn't a very confident kid, and I think that like being away from home, I took that as like a challenge, and I also realized that it would be a bit of a struggle just because I've always been comfortable and always had the nurturing presence of my parents, I guess. But for me, I wanted to take this as like an opportunity for me to like just grow as an individual. I guess it was like a lot to put on myself to be like, oh, I want to find myself, so to speak. But it wasn't in that sense. It was just me being more like outspoken and like even in class and school, even though you had nothing to lose, I was often shy to like say an answer unless it was in math because that was the one thing I enjoyed and I'm good at. So like for me, just be a part of a conversation more, just be more outgoing, make more friends, just not be in my comfortable bubble of Shriram, I guess, was something that I really had as a goal for myself. And like academically, obviously, math is something that I found to like really enjoy. I think from very early on, I knew that's what I wanted to do, but it kind of like solidified towards coming to college. And even like, let's say the first semester in, even though I took like calc, it was a very straightforward, easy class, things I had done before. I think it just really, just the way it was taught and the way it was like being applied in class, like real world problems and stuff, I think it really made me realize that this is what I wanted to do. So like from there on, I started putting more goals of like, okay, see what you can do with this math to like apply it because this is a place where like they're teaching you how to apply it.
Great. And were there challenges along the way, not just for math, but in terms of settling in or trying new things out?
I think definitely like I think it is a bit of a challenge because you tend to go back to what you're comfortable with. So you tend like I had a friend from high school here, so I like at times would just go back to him or like I knew people over here. So you have a challenge where like you're in this new place surrounded by a lot of people. It is intimidating because you're in like for me at least in New York, it's a big city. You're intimidated by the city, you're intimidated by the big classes, you're intimidated by everyone trying to make friends and like if you're like you can get overwhelmed. Like it's very easy to just get like eaten up into the whole like environment the first weekend because there's so much going on. You kind of get thrown into things, you don't know what's going on. So it was definitely like challenging. And even now, like I mean, even now that I've like finished college and stuff, there has been a lot of challenges throughout where like you're like whether you figure out okay your friends, then you start figuring out okay what classes, and then you figure out internships or recruiting or whatever. So there's definitely challenges that like you have resources, but there's definitely things that do come in the way that like can be overwhelming from time to time.
And I'm sure there's this challenge of coping with COVID in New York City and starting
Oh, for
off
sure.
your
Right
job
now, it's
a few months.
insane. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure, for sure,
super.
for
So
sure.
I think we want to know a little bit more about math and how it's taught. And you also did a minor in computer science.
Yeah.
How did that pan out?
So I think for me, like CS was something that I just took as like a class. I just wanted to take an intro to programming class because I thought that like with just based off like the fact that I really enjoyed math and the logic behind it, I thought I'd enjoy computer science as well. And it kind of just clicked. Like I'm not the typical like software engineer that you'd find. Like I don't really enjoy coding as much or like debugging, but it's something that I'm good at, and I think that adds on as like a good addition to my major. As to like math, I think I was one of those kids who was just always excited by it. Like I also my favorite subject in school, and like over here it's just taught like even like the classes that are very theoretical, they're taught in a way that they try and seemingly make it applied. Like even like classes like analysis, which is like completely theoretical. They'll talk about how like this theoretical concept can be applied in an applied mathematical sense, so to speak. So I think I just really liked the way that the professors like went above and beyond. It wasn't just about a particular type of question or like the way that we're used to like having like this is the structure, you'll get integration question and these are 8 types of integration questions. You really like had to think. And like the professors like and obviously when you're learning the concept there's a lot of that as well, but professors made a huge effort, whether it be through homework or even like when you're studying for the exam or the way they're explaining it, they made a huge effort to really highlight how these concepts that you're learning can be applied to the real world or like even if it wasn't in detail it was like this is where it is applied. If you want to know more reach out to me, and they were very helpful in office hours and they would sit at lunch with you as much as they could to discuss these things with you even if you felt like you didn't know any of the math at the time.
Going to NYU's College of Arts and Sciences is obviously not just studying math and doing a minor in CS. There's the core and the requirements and everything
Yeah.
else. Do you think you found inspiration in some of those seminars or humanities classes and writing requirements?
Yeah. I think for sure. I think for me, like I think as you know, writing for me was never a strong suit. Even now, I still think that there's a lot that I can work on when it comes to writing. I personally really like. I mean, I during my college, I'm sure I whined and was annoyed by doing like philosophy writing classes and stuff that were part of the core requirement. However, I think it is a good thing because I'm definitely a better writer. I wouldn't say I'm great, but if you compare the stuff that I wrote like 3, 4 years ago to what I am able to write now, I think it's a very good skill to have. Even as something as simple as writing an email when it's worded well, when it comes across well, I learned that from like being able to write or like get feedback from these classes. So as much as a lot of these classes tend to get annoying from time to time, like I hated my philosophy core requirement. The the work that was done for that class really did help me in other aspects. I don't really think I got inspiration because I was pretty headstrong about the few things that I was interested in. However, I think that like in general, as like a holistic approach to like everything that I do, it has helped me or like all roundedly definitely molded me to like appreciate other like or at least be good at other things as well, other than just the one thing that I'm good at or enjoy.
Would you credit some of the new learnings that you developed, your interest in, to any particular mentors, professors, peers, seniors?
I think like I had a few like seniors and like in college itself, and like even a lot of professors. Like I mean, freshman year of my writing, like we have like a writing the essay requirement, which is a first year writing class. I think my professor at the time, like I went up to him, I remember at the start of the semester, just telling him that like I'm super nervous, and like NYU even offered this thing called international writing that was for students who weren't that great at English, so that you just took 2 semesters of it, which is like replacing that. And I told him how I was thinking about that, and encouraging to be like, he'll give me more time or we'll work on it, but I shouldn't like shy away from the fact that like just because I'm not someone who's good, like that's the point of college as well, to like learn. You're not supposed to know everything when you come in, and like in any subject, even the subject that I'm enjoying or majoring in, I will learn a lot. I will do badly in some tests and I'll do well. So I think I give him a lot of credit for that aspect, at least because I was to run away from writing essays and I was afraid of that particular class. However, he'd work with me like more than he gave me a lot more time than I'd say other students, just because he knew I was nervous to begin with. And then a lot of seniors also I was fortunate enough to know a few people who were a year or two above me, and they were able to give me guidance about just even as simple as like taking a particular class or a particular professor who it helps when you know these things, just like they also have been through the same struggles, and like you can see that they're doing well, and like they can give you this sort of guidance. So I think generally anyone you can talk to, and even professors are very open to giving you advice. So I think you tend to find a lot of these people or mentors. I can't really pinpoint a specific people, but there's definitely people there who like did help.
Great. We're going to switch gears now. I'm going to ask you a question about strengths. Can you describe, or not describe, rather define strengths in 3 words, 3 strengths that you think are important to you?
To me, like to me personally, or just generally, I feel like you should have.
To you, as in it also applies to you, that you also have.
I think for me, like it's a hard question, but 3 strengths, like for me, like I'm really like honest about like I think you should be passionate about what you're doing. I know it's a very like generic answer that most people will like, oh, be passionate about your work. But for me, like as someone in math, there's like a lot of opportunities or like doors of like getting into finance and like those like, and if you're excited and interested in those things, you should do them. But for me, like I've always been passionate about like tech or something like a little bit more applied or whatever. Just that's something like, so you should always do what you're passionate about. And I think that's like for me, I see it as a strength because I always like stuck with what I enjoy. And then I, to be honest, that's the one thing that I know for a fact that I do have.
Sure.
But in general, like I think, yeah, it's being like true to yourself and like doing what you want to do. Like it's very like generic, and I think it's the Tumblr version of an answer that you're going to get from most people. But in college, like just being, I guess, like yeah, confidence is something that like I have developed and now realize like the importance of it. Like even in like little things like networking, like I would shy away from sending an email to someone I knew I could reach out to very easily. Whereas now I'm shameless and reach out to people without like know them knowing who I am or whatever. So in even in like those confidence like trickles down into little things that you end up doing. So I think those two for sure I can give you an answer. But just be passionate what you're doing and like be confident. And,
So, the other thing I remember about you was your passion for basketball, and you would work really hard in school. Do you think being a sportsman or aspiring to be an athlete and working in teams, something had a rub off in terms of not just in school, but also in the work or internships that you got? And tell us a little bit about that dynamic.
Yeah, sure. I definitely think so. Like, I mean, I think that like being a part of a team, like even though it was in high school and like you were with a lot of them, a lot of those people were your friends, so it's very easy. It still gives you that sense of belonging when you're sorry, a sense of belonging when you're a part of like a team, and like you have to work together. And there'll be times where you're like down, so it helps you like understand like a camaraderie sort of sense. So and it's definitely trickled down to my internships. Like even like it's it's being like in basketball, there's a lot of trust involved. Like all like when you're playing, you trust the player to like have your back in every situation, whether it's a play or in that sense, and trickles down to your internship experiences. Like for me, like I know for a fact that I'm better and I can work in a team better because I've had that experience as well in high school.
Fantastic. So if you were to, give some sort of advice to students who've just graduated from high school or just graduated from college, or anyone in between currently in college, what do you think they should do and keep an eye out for in improving their skills or becoming better?
I think just be open to like certain experiences. Like a lot of them can be overwhelming, and I know for a fact that I shied away from a lot of them, but just be very open to anything and everything. And a lot of the times it'll be scary, and sometimes you might not do them, and that's fine. But like most of the time, try and like try new things, do things that like can help, which you may think that which might not be helpful by like on face value, but they tend to help you or like help you grow as a person, as an individual. So coming out of high school, just it's very overwhelming, but give yourself like the chance to just try. And you might not like it, and that's fine, but try.
Great. There's one thing about work, though, I wanted to touch upon earlier,
Sure.
but I didn't. But I think could be the closing sort of section of the interview. Is
Sure.
how did you sort of land internships, and what did you find interesting at your current sort of IBM internship, which is now turned into a job? How do you make those decisions, and how do you land those opportunities?
So I think in terms of like landing them, I think that it's a lot to do with just taking advantage of the resources that you have, whether it be through college or people that you know, or like anyone that like a friend can put you in touch with, or a senior who's working can put you in touch with, or an alumni, like anything. So I think finding an internship, whether like you have a lot of resources in college, you should definitely utilize them. Like people think that like, oh, half the colleges are applying, it's not going to work, I have to go a different route. It works. Like, I mean, my IBM internship was through like on-campus recruiting. I reached out to an IBM employee who was an NYU alum. And so take advantage of the resources that are available, but also like be willing to like just like reach out to people. Like my dad used to always tell me like networking is the key and whatnot. And I never agreed with him. I used to always fight with him and be like, no, what are you saying? I can't talk to these people. I'm a college student. They're not going to take me seriously. They're like 5-6 years into their job. Like I'm just someone who's, and like, but what you don't realize is they were also you at one point. So they know how it was done. So like if like for tomorrow, like if I know someone has reached out to me in a couple of years, I know that I've been in their shoes. So like in terms of just reaching out to people and using the resources that you do have, and yeah, just for me, like I did that. Like I reached out to as many people as I could. You interview, you learn, and you have like I've had a lot of bad interviews and I've had a few good interviews. And like I wouldn't say lucked out, but like a combination of luck and hard work has like led me to where I am. So yeah, like I think just trying to like do whatever you can, and it can get annoying. Like my sophomore, I would have applied to like God knows how many internships, but and you get really bummed out because it's not easy to just keep getting rejected or not hearing back from people. But like I guess you just kind of have to keep trying, and then something will work out.
Okay. And what about applying math and CS during these internships? Were they were kind of a requirement for the job?
So at my first, like my internship in DC, my sophomore year, like it was a research analyst position. However, because with my background in like CS and math, I was doing a bit more like data work and working with like CS and stuff. So at that job particularly wasn't a requirement. However, at IBM, I was like a data science intern. So I was doing a lot of work. Like I had to build a model and stuff. So you obviously had to have a certain skill set. You definitely developed a lot there as well. Your internships, they realize that you don't know everything and you're not coming in with everything that they need. They know that like they want to see that you're like have a good base knowledge, but also have like the willingness to learn. So I would say a lot of the stuff, a lot of the models that I did build, I learned through the job or learned by asking people who were already there, asking other data scientists on the team who had been working there for like a couple of years, or even like people who had more knowledge than me. So they do require a certain base knowledge, and like for me, I thought combining math and CS to do data science is a good opportunity for me. So in that sense, yeah, like I think you have to have a decent base knowledge, getting into a few of these technical roles. However, in an internship role, you're going to learn a lot more than you're going to do at the same time.
Great. Okay, now final question about
Sure.
how did you draw inspiration during this lockdown era? What are the things you watched or things that inspired you, read, or people you followed? Is there any anything that Mehul does which is interesting during this time?
I mean, to be very honest, for me, like my senior year was like I want to take it easy year. However, this has been a struggle, and I guess for me, I was in Jersey at my aunt's house, so I think the things that I did were definitely like taking some time to like do some sort of physical activity. Just having played basketball and stuff, I knew that like going for a run or even like something like a 10-minute walk gave me some sort of peace. And then obviously like you're watching like Money Heist and whatnot. You're watching enough Netflix shows that are available and like whatever shows you have. And I think for me, like in between, like just taking some time to myself, obviously getting some work done because of school, and just hanging out, like appreciating having nothing to do, because I know when work starts, I'm not going to have these luxuries. So I think I was quite happy even doing nothing from time to time. But like I can understand how someone who's like early on is like, I'm fed up and I want to go back to college. And I mean, I wanted to have my senior year as well, but I know the situation's really tough, and there's people obviously struggling with a lot worse. I think the one thing I'd say is just like do things you like kept pushing under the rug, saying I'll do when I have time, because now you have time.
Well said. I think with that, we want to wrap things up. Thanks, Mehul, for a delightful conversation, and looking forward to following your career going forward.
Nice.
So all the best, and thanks again.
Thank you.